Welcome to the Buchanan Report, this 30th day of May 2017. Man, I almost blew it right out the gate, didn't I? My name is Ivan. Yeah. My name's Ivan Buchanan, and I am your host. My host is always Ron and Rhonda Moon Lane. If you're joining us for the first time, our call-in number is 347-857-1710. Again, that number, 347-857-1710. For those of you that do call in, we ask you to please watch your language. We try to keep it as clean as we can. Our guest tonight is whistleblower Rob O'Neill regarding Bay Pines VA. He was on once before. We've got him on again tonight, giving us an update as to what's going on. I believe we have at least one other individual from Bay Pines coming on as well. But before we get to Rob O'Neill, I want to remind everyone our website is thebuchananreport.com, where you can find all your news alerts. That's veterans news alerts, and we keep it updated on a regular basis, and it is updated now. Also want to remind everybody of our attorney section on the website. If you need an attorney or think you need one, go there, pick one, give them a call. They'll talk to you for nothing. Out there.
Also, our list of suicide hotline numbers, too.
Yes. On there. Go to our website, thebuchananreport.com. We've got all kinds of things there. We've got links going all over the place, whatever you want. If there's a doctor at a VA you want to check out, is he, a specialist? They're claiming to be a specialist. You can check that out, see if in fact they are. All kinds of things there. I want to remind everybody, as I do every single show, VA Truth Tellers Facebook group. They are there to keep everybody informed as to what is going on out there with the VA hospitals. The owners of it, there are two owners. They are both whistleblowers, and pretty much everyone there with the group, minus just a few, are either current or past employees of the VA. So they're in existence. Keep everybody up to date on what's happening out there. So go there, check them out, join their group if you want to stay in the know. Shall I do that again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just did. I'm done.
You've been practicing your surfer bird routine.
Well, it's just that's really kind of how I feel, you turn on the news. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning, and what is it? It was the first or second day that the president, Trump took over. He fired, fired one, head of the VA hospital, and I guess today he's back to work. I don't, it's like, what's going on here, Do they have just cause to fire? If they do, then how come people are getting fired? They file an appeal, and then they always get their job back. What's going on? Did they really not have anything? If they had something, is the case not being put together properly? Is it not being presented properly? What's going on? It's not making any sense. Just not making any sense.
I actually pulled that one to talk about tonight. It's the Puerto Rico hospital director.
That's him. That's the booger man.
Yes. And apparently, since he wasn't given, he returned to work. He was arrested for driving drunk and found with painkiller pills for which he didn't have a prescription. So he got diversion of opiates from the VA system for recreational purpose.
Wait a minute. Recreational purpose, but
Let me read that again. Diversion of, I see what they're saying. Diversion of opiates. So pretty much they suspect him. Yeah, that's it exactly.
What did you say, Ron? What did you say, Ron?
It's called theft.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're just saying it nicely. Diversion of opiates from the VA system for recreational purposes. In other words, he's stealing the pain pills and taking them.
And he's illegally testing them with no, prescription from a doctor.
Right. Mhm.
But that doesn't have anything to do with his job. Is that what they're saying? Therefore, he should get it back?
No, it does. He appealed his removal to the Merit Systems Protection Board, MSPB, and because of the particulars in his case, which they're not saying, that remains under active litigation, he was brought back to work at the VA.
Oh, great.
He was returned to work.
Really?
Yep.
Are they sending him to Phoenix anytime soon?
Probably the next leader over there. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. Just don't give him a key to the medicine cabinet.
Yeah, this guy, when a subordinate made him mad by refusing to carry out a wrongful firing, she was offered $300,000 in taxpayer money to quit, and it would have been the largest settlement in recent department history, but she refused to take the cash.
Are we talking about the same case here?
It is the same case. There is no reason this guy should not be fired.
Sounds like there's all kinds of corruption going on in one case.
At the same time, if that lady would have taken the $300,000, they'd probably turned around and pointed fingers at her.
Uh-huh. Yep. He filed a civil service protections appeal.
Because he was found with illegal drugs on him without prescription.
Right. They're not saying exactly what it is that is still in argument. But, yeah, this guy should have been fired. He should be nowhere near a VA. He's a director.
Is he back to work?
Now, tell me what. He is back to work.
And where?
They don't say. He was returned to work. It just doesn't say where.
But, okay, all right. We've got his name.
Mm-hmm.
There is what is it, 7 or 12 regions? We can supposedly have access to look at the list and see where he's at.
I could probably do that. But he's probably in the library.
It's like he's not hiding all that well.
Mm-mm. This guy is getting paid still.
Uh-huh.
If I got arrested for DUI and I had prescription pain pills with no prescription, I would be in jail right now, and they would take all my benefits.
Yeah. I wouldn't have had a job. When I got out, I would have had to go up to my workplace, turn in my keys, my tools, my credit card, gas card, et cetera, and walk out the gate.
This guy
would
be locked behind me.
This guy probably isn't even a veteran.
Yeah.
Probably not. They don't say that he is, so he probably isn't.
Yeah.
And then can't understand why we get so upset at the VA.
Yeah.
Don't make no sense.
No, it doesn't. In other news, there are still more than 80,000 American service members missing in action.
Really?
I had no idea that was such a large number.
Neither did I. That's so.
A lot of them are from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Yeah. World War II, let's see, we have Bernie O. Aberg was an Army private, and he went missing in the Philippines during World War II, and then it goes to Frank Zywicki of New York, went missing in that war in a submarine in the China Sea. They are the first and last service members on the list of missing in action.
Right.
As we
they're still doing it on, where is it, Tarawa? because there were a number of soldiers that were buried there that weren't really identified other than as dead. Pearl Harbor is another one, you know, but with the DNA forensics they've got now, they're actually finding some and being able to return them home. Vietnam's one of the hardest with all that jungle out there, and the people you talk to anymore, the person that you find that say, oh, yes, I saw that plane crash, but he's 87 years old now. He hasn't talked about it all these years. So, yeah, it makes it harder.
Yeah, but it seems to me that one guy that you're talking about, you know, in the submarine in the South China Sea, how did they still classify him as, you know, MIA? I mean,
because they don't have the sub and they don't have the body.
Right. They don't have his remains, so he's still missing.
Gee.
The 3 states with the most missing Native sons and daughters are New York, California, and Pennsylvania. Philippines would rank 4th on the list if it was a state, but it's not.
Really?
Yep.
No.
Now, how did Texas end in there, huh?
No, it's not. And then next would be Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and D.C. I just thought that was kind of, I had no idea that number was so big. I know there's a lot of them lost in, as we said, the submarines and ships on the ocean. I just
in my
had no
mind,
idea it was that many.
That's astronomical in my mind. That is a big number.
Yeah, it's a big ocean.
Yep.
Stop and think about it. 80,000. There's 58,000 names on the wall. So.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's one engagement. And this 80,000 is a common community effect or a group, you know.
From all of our services and all of the wars. Yep.
And Mueller's still getting in the way there, Ron?
Yeah, my tongue. It's all the empty spaces in the molars that aren't helping.
Yeah, Bush.
No, that doesn't help.
Bush just whacking you around tonight, huh?
Yeah. All I need is a jug. Feel like a hillbilly. No offense to hillbillies. But I got new neighbors with these little white yapping objects that are driving me nuts.
How do you know that's not Rhonda's yappers?
Because they're right outside the office here.
Oh.
And I've had to hide the keys to the gun cabinet. Anyway, along the same, well, it's real tempting though. Along the same lines as your thing there, Rhonda, there was a thing on the 29th of May that was in the Grand Junction Sentinel. There was a Vietnam vest that was found. Actually, it was found a year ago. But, you know, I mean, stop and think about it. It still took 25 plus years to find him. He was a pilot that went down. He landed in a fish pond in North Korea. Naturally, they dug the plane out. There was no pilot in it, but he was laying on the bottom all this time. So the fish had fun.
Oh, yeah.
But they did actually drag it because of, like I was saying, they found this older man that actually saw the plane come in. But, you know, I don't think it would have been too much longer, and you couldn't have talked to him. He was 87. But it was Lieutenant Commander Frederick Crosby of the Navy. He was gunned down in 65. They actually brought, after they identified him, brought his remains home. He was buried last Sunday at the Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery with full military and Navy flyover honors. So, yeah, it kind of fits right in with what you were talking about.
Yeah, it did.
That was the one item I had there. The other one that came out of the Sunday paper, out of Parade magazine. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not.
Yes.
And they do a Veteran of the Month column in there. Hey, I don't just read the funnies, you know. But I did learn something in there. Memorial Day began as Decoration Day in 1868 and was to deal with the graves of Civil War veterans.
Uh-huh.
It didn't get made an official holiday until 1971. And I agree with you, Ron, and I saw it in several articles, too. Everybody's forgotten what Memorial Day is for.
Yes.
It's not to say, you know, have a happy Memorial Day or yada, yada, although that kind of attitude is not bad, but it's to remember those that didn't come home, the fallen, and all of that above, and they go through it here in this article because they have a thing that they're trying to do to honor veterans. It's like it says in there's more than 1.3 million men and women that currently serve in the military, and I'm sure that figure is probably even a little low.
Yeah.
More than half of them are married. About 16% are female. They average 28 and a half years old, and I bet you my day and age they were a lot younger. And, you know, not every military job, they do, I thank them for this, pointing this out, involves the use of a weapon. You're still trained with it, but what you do as your job does not involve having that in your hand all the time.
Right.
And they've got some comments from military members. And one of them, there's a chief warrant officer that's currently on active duty station in South Korea. Says, we miss a lot of birthdays. I miss my wife's 4 years in a row. And I can relate to that. You miss more than birthdays. You miss Christmas. You miss all the things you ever did with family. When you're overseas, that it doesn't exist. What was the one I read? Bing Crosby, I think it was. I'll Be Home for Christmas during World War II. I think was banned in England because they didn't want the military members to hear it and have it mess with their minds about needing to go home. So, you know, you've got that. There's another chief warrant officer from the Tennessee National Guard. Before I joined the military, I had 3 brothers. Now I have a whole company. So, and I can kind of understand that one. The other one that I thought was really funny was from a staff sergeant. He's in the Army Reserves out of Hawaii. He said, I had to adjust to life after the war where violence got me through every day. But now I can name all my daughter's My Little Pony characters. So there's a man that actually got to go home and spend some time with his family. And I say, hoorah.
Yes.
And that's all I have for tonight.
Did you get all yours out there, Rhonda?
You know, I just clicked on one, but I closed it.
There we go.
No, it's under the
Bring it up.
medical marijuana treatment. There was a new patent filed for. They've been playing with CBDs, and they've got the THC out of this one. So they're just now filing for the patent, but we'll see what happens with that.
What good's
It
marijuana?
Well, you know, they have a strain of plants that has the CBDs without all the THC already.
Yeah, I don't know what's different about this one. It didn't go into that much detail because they've just now filed for the patent. So I will keep an eye out on it and see what they have.
It almost sounds like it's a process that they can take the CBDs out and leave the THC behind.
Yeah.
Well, some would argue that marijuana ain't worth a shit unless there is THC in it.
Well, yeah, you're talking a different mindset, though.
Right.
I know where you're going with this. I won't deny it.
But
Okay.
they are not. They're not going to approve that for use in children.
Yep.
Am I right? As long as it's got THC in it, they're never going to approve it for use in children.
No, they started out with it, but they really don't want it, especially since, like the scientists that we interviewed that one time, Ivan, since they're breaking it down and finding what all this stuff is and actually using it and finding out the CBDs will do the same thing for like an epileptic seizure without the THC, then that's what they want to cut out. And that's part of what has made hemp so popular here. There's a lot of people that are getting fields and going through the correct processes to grow hemp because they can get the oils out of there, and that's what they're getting, the CBD oils, because the THC content has to be below a certain level to even qualify.
Right.
And besides that, they're actually growing a seed crop, and then they've got the plant itself, the stalks, the fiber, and all of that they're using in clothing, paper. Look at all your old naval sailing vessels. The ropes were made out of hemp.
Yeah.
So
is that why on your ship they couldn't keep rope around?
Yeah, well, it was hard to get in the papers, but yeah, it was. Yeah, I worked it out.
Okay, all right. You're listening to the Buchanan Report radio show. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will be speaking with whistleblower Rob O'Neill regarding Bay Pines and his Bay Pines VA, that is, and getting an update from him. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to the Buchanan Report radio show. Our guest tonight is Rob O'Neill. Rob was an Air Force security police officer, and he worked at the Bay Pines VA as a lieutenant police supervisor. Hi, Rob. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you this evening? Glad to be here.
Good. Glad to have you back. So what's going on at Bay Pines lately?
Well, a couple of things. I don't know if you saw the news link on your site last week. We had a police supervisor was arrested for a DUI. Was a second arrest in the last about 6 or 7 months. And it's kind of ironic for a local news station to do a 3-minute segment on that. And that's up on your link. You can have your viewers, listeners, check that out. It's pretty interesting.
Yep.
The man's still on his job. He's still at the job.
He is still at the job.
Yes.
And this is second DUI. It had reckless driving too, right?
Correct, yep. The DUI was last week, and it was a felony child abuse from back in October, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute, he's under criminal charges for felony child abuse currently?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, correct.
And the DUI.
I won't say his name publicly. Yes, that's correct.
And no one's figured out that there
link.
Might be a problem here.
There's definitely a problem, absolutely. You know, what's ironic, guys, is I spoke to this gentleman about a year ago when a lot of work stress was coming down on him. And we sat outside and had a conversation, and he had got disciplinary action put on him. And it was kind of funny because he was one of the guys that the management had used to go after people. They would put this guy in a room and have him watch the employees and report back to management what time people were coming to work, what time they were leaving, you know, those sorts of things. And that was his job, basically. You know, not to protect and watch the facility, just to watch the employees who protect and serve that facility. That was his job.
Right.
So basically they had used him for that purpose, ate him up, used him, discarded him. And once he, you know, they let him run wild in there, you know, writing up employees, going all this nonsense. EEOs were being filed against him. And what they did was they let him go too far. Then he received disciplinary action. And a lot of this work stress, I believe, and, you know, through my conversations, that this had just gotten too far with him and just destroyed his family life. Now he's got, you know, all kinds of problems. And it comes from the job and the stress that these little evil dictators that run around at these places. They want you to do. The VA is a place where, people, they tend to somehow magically fail upward. And what I mean by that is, they can fail at all levels, be caught up in all kinds of malfeasance, incompetence, and they can retain their jobs. And some profit from their actions. Like you're talking about your director down there in Puerto Rico. I'll bet you why that gentleman, he won his MSPB case is because he had information that they did not want to get out. That is my opinion and belief.
So are you talking about a form of extortion, if you will?
Yeah, you can call it that. I would call it collusion is what I would call it. These directors are involved in sorts of things. You could have a wait list contracts they get involved in and things like that with building contracts, with a lot of money being poured into these facilities with expansion and all that. They get involved in these things, and you never know what they know, what they don't know, what their signature is on. So you don't really know that, and he could have been involved in that sorts of things. That's my guesstimate on that.
Well, what does that have to do? What does that have to do with? And I'm just going to ask you the question, and if you know, please answer. What does that have to do with somebody gets fired, and then they file an appeal? What would the people hearing the appeal have? I mean, what would that, like in this issue here, the director, he got fired, he filed his appeal, right?
Correct.
What would the director have on the people hearing the appeal, to come to conclusion or what? I mean, you heard my intro. How are people getting fired? They're getting fired, and then they file their appeals, and every one of them just coming back to work. What the hell's going on?
Well, one thing I could tell you is when you're up to a certain pay grade or a certain level, like an executive level in there, you're somehow insulated and inoculated from these types of things. When you're the worker bee or the lower rank and file, this stuff happens. You still go and you kick you out. You're lucky if you win your appeal, basically. But in this guy's case, I would assume he went through his MSPB, and what happens is in these MSPB hearings, the attorneys, the local regional counsel, who he had supervised at his tenure there, would be the ones that would be trying to fire him. So it'd be his own, former employees.
No, the president fired this guy. The president fired this guy.
But the ones I'm saying who would be doing the investigation would be his own subordinates. You follow me? They're the ones that would be preparing the whole investigation on him, would be the regional counsel, local attorneys, and folks from HR that he would oversee. They're the ones that will prepare any type of investigation, internal investigation or AIB against them. They're the ones that will prepare all this and present this to the MSPB hearing. Now, one would question whether how strong that MSPB hearing argument is against him when it gets to that level.
What you just described is the fox watching the hen house here.
There you go. You could say that. Great analogy. Great analogy.
I mean, these people, they're doing an investigation on their boss, and then they're going to present this to supposedly people that are not biased.
Correct.
But it all depends on how good the investigation is.
Right. It depends on how strong it is and what kind of effort they put into it. They can go all out for, on somebody for a year or 2 years on an investigation, and you may not know it. And this guy, from his arrest or whatever he had gotten into down there, and it may be, within a month or two, so it may not be that strong on him. Or they may not do it just because, hey, this is my boss here. I don't, a lot of VA employees are afraid to come out, afraid to step out of the shadows and really come out. And, this is all my opinion here. I'm not saying this is fact or not. But, you have your own subordinates who would come out and prepare a case against them. That's kind of shocking. I don't see anybody. I know it would be an IG investigation in his case. I know they would be involved. But somehow, they do answer to these directors. I'd compare it like another analogy is like your little kingdoms out here in your VISNs. And this director would be down here in VISN 8, which falls under Bay Pines as well. So you have your VISN 8 director, who is the same overseer as Bay Pines and the same overseer as down there at the facility in Puerto Rico. You have the same boss, which is the VISN director, who is in charge of all those local directors. So, it's just shocking that these things, and, one thing, these folks don't have, they have unclean hands as well. These directors, you can have defective investigations as well, which they're notorious for, the VA itself.
Well, it's certainly not an independent investigation, and if it's not independent, it can very quickly go corrupt, and that's basically what you're saying.
Sure. We had our police chief, Robert Chauvin, last year. I talked about this last time I was on. He fell asleep on the job the morning he came in after St. Patrick's Day. We had an officer stuck a camera in the office, took a picture of him, spread it out on social media. It hit the news networks out here down in this area. And they did an investigation on that, which is a administrative inquiry board, or an AIB, and nothing happened to him. But he was finally removed in April 10th of this year, which I think we discussed last time I was on. But he was removed and reassigned to a different job. And I'll bet you any amount of money that's where this director down in Puerto Rico will be reassigned to a maybe support service job somewhere, tucked away very, somewhere hidden pretty well, where no one will see him, no one will find him. He'll just sit in an office all day and collect his paycheck.
Well, that won't be Arizona.
And that's what happens. No, I hope not. We hope not.
Well, I'm normally familiar with your first DUI. You're not going to drive anyway because they won't let you, and then you get a second driving. There's additional charges here that I don't think they're even talking about. He shouldn't even be able to go to work.
No, you look at this news case. If you click on that link I think it's on your site there. You watch this.
Uh-huh.
This man was driving last Saturday evening. He was driving down on the beach down here near Clearwater, 62 miles an hour in the wrong lane, and almost hit a local police officer head on. That's how it all started. Almost killed a guy. He had to swerve out of the way to avoid being hit by this guy. And I think he was 3 times over the legal limit, which he blew in the breathalyzer, I believe, from my understanding. But they let him back to work.
Well, what do you think should happen to this guy?
Well, you should be put on
you're number one in this country. In this country, you're presumed innocent until you're found guilty. So, based on that,
I'm not saying he's guilty, but from what I've seen on the news, that's fine. He gets his hearing, his day, and everything. All that. I hope it works out for him with his family and all that. But you should not be allowed to be retained in your position when you get arrested.
That's right.
Like that, you should not be in any capacity at all to run background checks on people. In his particular case, have access to any machine that runs driver's license.
That saying doesn't apply to business. Yeah, that saying does not apply to business. Not. He should have been put on leave until they could make a determination and gone from there, rather than just turn their backs.
Right, you should be put on authorized absence until your case is adjudicated somehow in the court system. Then you can come back and you go from there. Innocent, guilty, dropped it, whatever it is, and then we'll take it from there. I'm not saying you should be fired, but it'll be HR, Human Resources. They have their section there where employee relations they do their internal investigation. But it depends on how well the management wants to protect this individual. What I'm saying is they will somehow, what VA leadership does is they will pretty much use somebody up until they can get as much out of them as they can, is what they want. If they want you to go after people, like in my case years ago, they wanted me to go after litigants in a lawsuit against them. In no way I cannot ethically do that. I just can't sit there and go write people up for facetious things and, produce charges against people, which is it's not the case. They want you to do that, and if you're not going to do that, you're not going to play on that side of the fence. They want you out. So basically,
now you're talking about
you out.
Okay, so you're talking about people that had cases going on against the VA. They wanted you to target those people that were bringing that action. And
correct. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was brought in, when this suit was filed back in 2009 or 2010. I believe I was brought in, and I had a conversation with my, chief of police, and he said, you were promoted for a reason, and, I want to know if you can handle these people. And I said, handle who? I don't handle people. I work with people. I have work peers. I have partners. I don't handle people. And we just want to know and basically what I got out of that conversation is we want to know what side of the fence you're going to play on. And they would periodically pull me in behind closed doors and say, we looked at so-and-so's attendance and we want you to go after and write them up and do this and do that and all sorts of things. And I would go to human resources and say, this is what they want me to do. They want me to go, for instance, go check somebody's computer access, check somebody's websites they've been on at work to see if they were loafing all day, check their attendance schedule to see if they were, abusing leave and types of things like that. And I was told by HR, you can't do any of this stuff. They're not going to let you do this. You have to work with someone. You got to change their schedule first. Work with them before you start putting paper on people, basically. But they want to skip all this. A lot of these managers, when they want to go after people like whistleblowers, they want you to skip all this and go right to, we'll swing for the fences is what they want you to do.
Have you offered to testify to Congress, or have you testified to Congress?
No, not yet. I have an attorney, Leon Blaze. He's filed a suit up in D.C. federal court early in late April, I believe. I don't have the specific date, but it was filed up there in this thing about being not being protected as a whistleblower. When I'll give you the background on this thing, not only testifying in a federal case as a witness against the government back in for that $1 million lawsuit that was paid out of Bay Pines for the 9 or 13 litigants. You can read all that. That'll, it's all published. Additionally, there was a case that disturbed me. Last year, there was a veteran who was arrested for prescription narcotic sales and distribution a year ago outside. A lot of these veterans, they get their scripts and they go trade. Things like that happen outside. It happens. Yeah. But they wanted to target this. They knew what was going on, and basically it was a defective investigation from the beginning. It was a botched thing. I was not involved in it until later on when I came to work that evening, and everything had happened. But anyway, it was an okay arrest. The individual had the prescription, narcotics on him in possession, the sales, distribution, and all that. But when he was in police custody there at Bay Pines, there was a lack of officer coverage. They had him in an interview room. They left him there by himself, handcuffed in the front position in the hands. They let him have access to his narcotics and alcohol. When two officers stepped out of the room, left him in there 5-10 minutes, he ingested what he had. And he was up there in ICU at Bay Pines for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So that's a near death in police custody. I mean, they violated this man's rights. They almost, it's police malfeasance. So I wrote a thing to Office of Special Counsel and advised them of this, that they were keeping this thing under the rug down here, that there was a lack of manpower. And, at 4:30 when things happen, all the action's over, when the paperwork's getting ready to get written in police work, it's not fun anymore. So people want to go home. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock when all this is going on, so people leave and go home. So you're left down there with, no coverage and all that's going on. So they allowed this man to, almost kill himself because he was so upset about the arrest. Didn't know what to do. And you have procedural defects. You have, I'll tell you another thing in that case too was not only they messed up on that, but they left the bag of what the evidence was sitting out in the hallway, not put in the evidence custody. So it's right there. It's a botched case. So I was at work that evening, that midnight. I came in and another officer pointed out to me. He said, "Rob, what's this bag out here in the hallway?" I said, "I don't know. It's a backpack." I said, "Let's go through it. Open it up." So we opened it up, and it was the individual's property from the case. They left that out in the hallway, and they had falsely prepared an evidence form in that case. They broke the chain of custody, and that's Police 101 from the day you first any police academy is any case you have is evidence chain of custody. You have that documented. And I sent an email out saying I have it, and I went to my boss that next morning and said, hey, listen, you need to add me into the evidence chain of custody about this. And he just said nothing to me and walked away. Said, because they knew this was a problem. They knew this was going to be a problem. And they did have to report this. There was an internal investigation, and their recommendation was, well, maybe we'll put a camera in your interview room, and that was it. And nothing was heard from since. And the man was prosecuted.
Found guilty?
So that's what you have. That's what you have. And my goal in this is not to, my thing is better care for the veterans. And this stuff has to be brought out. The malfeasance, and also better protection for whistleblowers. That's two things. And what you do in your job and what I did for all them years, 16 years is, what they did to me was, these leaders will tarnish your employees' hard work, is what they do. Either they're malfeasance and defect. They excel at failing, is the bottom line. Look at all these directors getting removed all over the place. It's what you see. And, I think they're starting to break up the party down there at Bay Pines. I think the associate director just left about a week and a half ago. He left, got out. Don't know why. But I think it's, the dominoes are starting to fall down here.
Left or got reassigned somewhere else.
Right. He went to Orlando. And which the ironic thing is our associate director went to Orlando, and the associate director from Orlando came to Bay Pines. So it was like a swap.
Uh-huh.
So, it's kind of interesting there that, that doesn't, where does that happen? Where do you see this stuff at? Where do you see this kind of happening out there in the, in the private sector? You don't.
We have, actually.
Oh, you
remember
did?
our little deputy Ivan and where he came from?
I'm drawing a blank.
Our Delta County Sheriff's deputy, who was an officer in another state, the shooting outside of a bar, and he refused to testify. He resigned his job during the center of all of it, and came to Colorado and was given a job and started all over.
Yeah, that happens.
So,
yeah, you're right. You're right. That does happen.
Well, let me ask you this. One of my questions is this. Any problems with the exculpatory evidence there? Anybody playing? I know that's basically a decision that's made by the prosecuting attorney regarding, exculpatory evidence. But I'm curious, do you have ADAs down there, assistant district attorneys, playing games?
Yeah, they have state attorneys down here. No, they're pretty on the level down here in Florida. The state attorneys, the county attorneys, they're pretty on the level. And in Bay Pines, we do have dual jurisdiction, which you have federal and state arrest authority. So what I'm talking about in that particular arrest with that narcotics case with that veteran, he was brought up on state charges. Now, I don't know, since I wasn't involved in the case itself, it depends on what paperwork was presented to that ADA or that state attorney to say. So, I can't step in there at that point, and I couldn't say anything. It wasn't my position to go and say anything at the time. It's up to that arresting officer or any part, someone in that investigation, how that paperwork's prepared. To go out there and say that, now I can do something, but the man's already prosecuted.
Right.
It's too late. From my position now, it's too late. Now, what matter he may have or gain legal counsel, I don't know what he's going to do. He may do it. I don't know. But these things are defective investigations.
Is that man that was prosecuted on the case with the backpack and all that, was he made aware of this deficiency, shall we call it?
Yes, he was. I know, I think there was another whistleblower at some point did reach out to him and alerted him to what was going on. And I don't believe, I'm not really sure if he did retain counsel other than, a court-issued attorney or a court-appointed attorney. So I'm not really sure where it went after that. I always kind of got my own problems after that, with these folks. After I filed that, then, it all started, they started following around and then started retaliation.
obviously someone from the department reached out to let him know, and that's encouraging because, you know, I mean, you call it malfeasance, but, you know, when cops are literally putting cases together and doing things that are wrong, not following the laws themselves, in many situations the malfeasance goes a lot stronger than that.
Well, it sure does. Yep. You lead to one small cover-up and the next bigger cover-up and a bigger lie and a bigger lie and a bigger lie. Then you have criminal. Then it becomes criminal. Then where do you go from there? You know, and where do you go? Then you go down that road. It's a dark road, I'm telling you, and you guys know this. It's a dark road you go down, and you can't come back from it. Not in that position, you know, not in that position. So, you know, that's what's going on down there now. It's kind of interesting. You know, we've got some other things going on I could talk to you guys offline about. There's some other things we got ready to drop here pretty soon down there. Some other things about to break out here soon. I'd like to keep you guys apprised of this, you know, as well as we go along here. But there's some other things going to come out, and definitely we'll keep you guys apprised because we got some more interesting stuff in the bag here for these folks down there.
Well, we'd certainly like to be kept in the know. I mean, you know,
well, we sure will.
One of the, not the last case, but one of the retired in, what was it, 2015, I think it was. But a case back in 2010, and it's on my website. It's about a minute and a half clip, not more than 2 minutes, of, you know, catching the prosecutors literally admitting in court, because we got them backed into a corner, I did, on it was coming out that they had evidence, exculpatory evidence, that they were secreting from, you know, defense counsel. And just literally, I put the clip up on my website where they were admitting, you know, this was in February 2010, that they had the evidence. It was a 911 call, which was, according to the judge in the trial, handing down decision of not guilty, stated that it was very telling. And I mean, you know, they had it all the way from October to February, secreting evidence. And here's the sad part of the whole thing. Numerous times, I think it was 3 times in court, they had stated, we cannot. In fact, you can even hear it now that I remember that's on there, them saying, well, you know, we can't be held responsible for what we don't have, you know, custody or control of. And so they had denied 3 times in court that they didn't have this evidence when they had it all along, and they knew it, you know. Now, what occurred, what a lot of people aren't aware of, you may not be aware of this, it was at that time, while this case was going on, that the U.S. Supreme Court actually handed down a decision that if a prosecutor in trial lies, you can't hold them responsible unless you can prove that he continually does it. You have to prove that it's habitual on his part. Right. You believe that crap?
Sure. I think what you're talking about may be giglio is what they call, where the prosecutor may make, you know.
No. I know giglio. I know the giglio.
Yeah.
I know giglio. It was there's a U.S. Supreme Court. It's not giglio, though. Okay.
Okay. You're talking about something else then. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know giglio. Giglio was used, you know, very heavily in this case, frankly. Right. But no, it was a U.S. Supreme Court decision. So, you know, bottom line is this: it's okay for an ADA or the DA himself to go in a courtroom and lie. But unless you can prove that he habitually does it, you know, you can't do nothing to him. Really? That's what our justice system has come to?
Interesting. You know, interesting. It's horrible.
Well, it is. I mean,
just a consistent misconduct by these other, you know, these folks. You know, and where does it stop?
Well,
you know, where does it stop? We're pretty good down here in Florida. Down here, I know that. I could, you know, one thing I could say is the local down here is pretty good at that. They don't really have that problem down here, which is good. Good for them to hear that stuff if they do get in a brush down there. But it's pretty good. They're pretty on the level down here, as I could say that.
Well, it's a rhetorical question that you ask, but it does need to be answered, and that is where does it stop? It stops with officers like you. It starts with whistleblowers, and it starts with people that have guts enough to stand up and not just, talk the talk and walk the walk, but really go beyond that and make things happen and say, no. This has to stop.
Sure. What's funny is the last year I see more guys that they're ready to step out. I mean, they're on that line. I talk to guys and they're ready to come out. A bunch of guys. They've had enough of this stuff. They've had enough. Are you
talking about in the VA itself or outside into other law enforcement agencies as well?
Within the VA, from my understanding, within the VA. I mean, you guys are at that line. They're brought to that line. They're shown that door. They're brought in. Hey, come the easy way. Come down the dark path. Step through that door, or you go the hard way. And guys are thinking, no, I'm going to go the hard way here. And I'm going to, at some point, I got to step out and bring this information out. These managers, these leadership, attacking these people, these whistleblowers, going after them. It's got to stop. At some point, these people need to be held accountable.
What is disturbing to me, and it came out in our last show, and I'll ask you the question. I only know of one whistleblower that is actually one, and that's Brand Coleman. Can you name another one?
No, I cannot. Nope.
That's sadness right there.
Sure it is. But I think you're going to see more in the future. I really do. I think you're going to see more. Come out of the shadows here and just had enough. I think you're going to see a lot more here.
Yeah, I did, based on the comment you made, I've got so I don't have to bother Rhonda, I've got your number down that's on our board here. Yeah, I do want to talk to you regarding...
Oh, definitely. We need to talk offline, definitely. Absolutely.
Yes, well, obviously.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a short break. You are listening to the Buchanan Report radio show, speaking with whistleblower Rob O'Neill regarding Bay Pines at VA. When we come back, we'll be coming back in our final segment. We're running out of time here, so we'll be back here in just one moment. We're back with you. This is the Buchanan Report radio show, speaking with whistleblower Rob O'Neill regarding Bay Pines VA. Before I forget, Rob, expect a call from me sometime before the weekend is out.
Sure will.
That's about the best I can do at the moment. I'm heading out. Oh, by the way, for all our listeners, we are Dark Thursday. We will not have a show. It's maybe the fourth or fifth time we've done it in our existence, but there's just so many graduations going on and all of that, and it's just not a good fit. So letting everyone know that here tonight. Anything else you want to dial us in on, Rob, on what's going on down there?
No, that's about it. Just give me a holler offline here, and I'll fill you in on some things that your jaw's gonna hit the floor once you hear this stuff. I could say that. I don't want to.
Is this stuff going to become public in the near future?
Possibility, yes. Possibility, absolutely. Once we talk offline, you'll hear it all.
Anywhere I can grease the wheels to see to it that it does.
Sure can. Sure can. I will talk offline. I'll put you in contact with. I'll give you a phone number when we talk offline. And that's about it as far as I can say about that at the moment.
Well, you get me shot.
We'll work it from there.
Explain it to my wife, So.
Sure. I'll bring you in the loop.
Fantastic. All right. Expect that call. I will be calling you.
Sure will. Thanks, guys. I appreciate having me on, and hope you guys and all the veterans and families had a great Memorial Day. And
yes.
just keep on fighting the fight, and we'll make this thing work for everybody. And that's about it.
God bless you and all the work you're doing there, Rob. And
thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Anybody else out there that thinks and act like you do, please thank them for us as well. It takes every one of you and more.
I sure do. I just want to say real quick, my buddy, they railroaded my buddy, another whistleblower that worked for us, Keith Hansford. You know him, and he has a suit too as well against these guys. I think he has a $5 million lawsuit for whistleblower retaliation. And I think you guys reach out. You've spoken with him, and you know the case, and it's been publicized down here as well in the papers. His case. So he's another guy like he's willing to step out. Come across that line and step out and report the wrongdoing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our mission. And that's what we're going to do. And that's
well, we appreciate you having the confidence in us to be right with you, and there's a lot of things that we know that we don't talk about. Just that simple. That's for you to talk about, and if not, you don't want to talk about it, then it stays right there. So, and a lot of people trust us on that. And we do appreciate that. We really do.
Well, I do absolutely 100%. I look forward to talking to you here, in the next week, and I'll fill you in, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you on the air again, Rob, because I still have some more questions about VA police policy that probably goes into other states too. That really
sure does
shocks me, and it's so long right now. I wouldn't even try to start with it. So
sure, that's another whole show or another few more segments.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, Rob. Thanks a million. I'm going to stick you in the blue room here.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good night, Rob.
All right, we got Rob in the blue room. Yeah, I can hardly wait to talk to Rob here. Maybe I didn't retire, Rob. I don't know.
Yeah, you're always looking for loopholes.
Well, hey,
cracks in the armor.
I just, people are dying. This shit's got to stop. So thank God Rob and guys like him are stepping forward. And I certainly hope that he is a prophet, that there are more and more that are going to be stepping out. What's encouraging to me is we've heard so much bad about Bay Pines in Florida, period.
Mm-hmm.
He's a breath of fresh air. It sounds like shit's starting to happen down there, and that's good.
Yeah, that's good. And as far as you go, the only thing I know that you're more bulldog about is stuff like this going on with children. So.
Yes.
CPS. That's I don't know. It's just my whole life, and I've just always been one of those that if you mess with someone that cannot take care of themselves, that goes from, handicapped people, both physically, mentally, to children, to, the veterans. To me, with the veterans, it's just real simple. They got a contract, man. The government needs to take care of that contract. The promise that they made. And I really don't think that it needs to be made any more complicated than that.
Yep, I can't argue it.
Paid their premium.
All I can say it was not a promise. It was supposed to be a guarantee.
Well, exactly. It's a contract.
Yeah.
The premium's paid. Now where's where's the rest of it? It's just that's it. I don't know. It's just wrong. There's so many things that you can say, but as far as I'm concerned, it just starts and stops right there.
Mm-hmm.
The contract was made. The government's not living up to it. So that's it with me. Rhonda, you got anything else for the evening?
I do.
Uh-oh.
It's short. The Army is moving closer to its first execution in more than 50 years. This guy was found guilty in 1987 for multiple rapes and murders in Fayetteville and Fort Bragg. 25 years ago. He is still sitting on death row.
Really?
Yep. But the latest Army court dismissed his latest attempt at an appeal, at a stay. So looks like it's going to happen. 25 years.
Do we know, is it by firing squad, lethal injection?
I don't know that they are telling us that. I will read the rest of it. I just was looking, and it just came across my feed. So let's see. It does not say that. It says it'll most likely be put to death at the United States Penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana, the same facility where Timothy McVeigh was executed.
Yeah,
if he is executed,
lethal injection.
I think so. If he's executed, it would be the first for the military since 1961.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it needs to be done, get her done.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be done. He killed a cab driver, Army Private Laura Lee Vickery Clay, university student Linda Jean Coates, and Fairlane Acres resident and a soldier's wife, Tammy Wilson, and raped several other women.
Sounds
he not
like
only got the death
candidate.
sentence. Oh yeah, he not only got the death sentence, he got 8 life sentences from civilian courts, including 3 to be served consecutively.
And get her done.
And yes, George Bush, President George W. Bush, approved the execution in 2008. All military executions have to be approved by the president.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I did not
And they
either.
stalled it that long?
That long. Yep.
Wow.
Well, they need to just get it done.
Yes.
Get her done.
That's all I had.
All right. Well, I do have a quote for tonight. And it comes from Creighton W. Abrams, Jr. Don't ask me who he is.
I don't know.
It's soldiers who pay most of the human cost in war. It is extraordinary how it all comes down to the character of one man. I mean, you could be sitting there in a hole with somebody shooting at you, and it is one man that actually drives you to get up and charge.
Or my wife.
So, no, we won't go there.
Yeah.
No.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for coming on here tonight, listening to us, all our listeners out there. Today is Tuesday. We've got another show, not this Thursday, but the following Tuesday. We're going dark this Thursday. Just want to remind everybody. This is the Buchanan Report radio show. I want to thank Whistleblower Rob O'Neill coming on here tonight, giving us an update on the Bay Pines VA situation there. Look forward to talking to him here in the next few days and getting dialed in a little bit more on what's going on down there in Florida. Again,
thank you all and have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.